Okay. Hi. I guess we're going to get started because we've got 30 minutes and no more. So I'd like to welcome everyone for joining us here today. And I hope everyone's doing well. And I wanted to say thank you to the San Diego Chamber for inviting us to this great event. We appreciate it very much. Okay, on this call today, we have Julia Stark, Fox 5's digital coordinator, and Tony Stark's niece. Just kidding, but oh my gosh, she's just as tech savvy as Iron Man himself. And we also have John Bodner, our Nexstar Digital Regional VP, and myself, Mike Martin, Fox 5's Digital Sales Manager. So we decided to put this presentation together to help inspire ideas for other businesses. We've seen a lot of creativity out there and wanted to share some of those ideas we've seen and also help develop and execute for our clients. Let's face it, it's a completely new environment and very challenging to navigate for most businesses. Many businesses are changing their business model completely and definitely changing some of their messaging. Fox 5 is here to help with strategy, messaging, and campaign execution, both with our digital and TV platforms. We would love to brainstorm with each of you and see if there's ways that we can work together and help stimulate business for you right now. Our presentation is going to go over current consumer research, some media trends, and some examples from different businesses that have adapted and changed to address the current environment. Julia, go ahead and take it away with some of the research, please.
Thank you, Mike. So thank you everyone for coming. And just a couple FYIs before we get started. We will be recording this webinar for your access afterwards, and we'll also be taking questions at the very end. If you guys want to use the Q&A function, please, if you have any questions. We'll also be sending you a couple polls if you'd like to participate. They're completely anonymous, and we'll of course share the results with you at the very end. So on to the presentation. The coronavirus has obviously created a huge rift in the state of the world and the economy, and each of us have been affected differently. Reflecting that same sentiment, industries have also been affected differently as well, unfortunately some negatively. Some of the main industries that fall into that category are entertainment and recreation businesses like concert venues or amusement parks, for example, and accommodation and food services. And although we've thankfully seen a lot of these businesses bounce back in recent months, especially restaurants with al fresco dining gaining so much traction, the gap in their sales is still likely to make an impact for coming months. So although a lot of these industries were unfortunately negatively impacted by the pandemic, there are a few that have actually been positively impacted by this whole situation. And these are the main obvious industries on the slide, but later on we're going to share how some non-obvious industries have also been positively impacted. So kind of just going through this list, home improvement, more time for people at home has led to more people becoming aware of things that need doing around the house. Gaming, kind of the same situation there. With more time at home, people are looking for other forms of entertainment, one which includes gaming. Cleaning and sanitation. No surprise here, people are becoming more and more germ conscious and are therefore buying sanitation products like Clorox and hand sanitizer. And lastly on this list, fitness. And this one kind of comes from a combination of public fitness studios closing down and an increased focus on health, which has really driven the sales of fitness equipment up. So those last two slides kind of talked about how various industries and the economy are doing. But what about individual consumers? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Because most of us aren't used to being at home for such a long period of time, we're all even more excited than usual to get back to our regular lives, whatever that may be. And you can see that reflected in this infographic from a recent survey on what people want to do now. The bottom line is that consumers are hopeful and are very much looking forward to doing some of the activities that they haven't been able to do.
Okay, thanks, Julia. What you're looking at here is a national survey of over 2,200 adults, asking them about their holiday shopping patterns. So the big takeaways are that 19% to plan to shop early. There's going to be a much longer holiday shopping cycle right now this year than they've ever seen, actually. 18% plan to shop locally, and 10% plan to shop at a local small business, which I think is important to note that people are wanting to shop at small local businesses right now and help out support the local economy. Also, a new survey today came out, I read this morning, that CBRE regarding holiday retail sales says holiday sales have averaged about 4.1% growth since 2010, but forecasts for this year are 1.5%, plus 1.5 from last year. They see e-commerce growing at 14%, from 14% in 2019 to 40% this year. So 168 billion to 296 billion this year, this holiday season. They also talked about a huge surge in what they're calling in and out shopping, where shoppers actually engage with sales associates inside the store, and then they take their purchases outside the store to do the transaction. This season more than ever shows the need for an online presence and an omni-channel marketing strategy to reach all the shoppers out there.
So as consumers shift towards normality, what can you do as a brand to prepare for that inevitable bounce back? Let's take a look at 3 options that we've kind of derived from past recessions.
Yeah, absolutely, Julia. Thank you, and Mike. Basically, 3 options that are available to us is to do business as usual, but it's not a usual time, right? We got to take a look at some of our messaging and other things that are there. Another opportunity, which happens during a lot of recessionary periods, is folks decide to go dark and do nothing. I can personally tell you that if you do nothing, nothing is going to happen for you. The bottom line is the third one here. We want to consider and have you give worthy consideration the pivoting for the situation. And that's a very important thing to be able to do in today's economy.
Exactly. So how do you advertise during a pandemic then? Well, like John alluded to, it presents a great opportunity to change your messaging to alleviate fears. As we kind of talked about earlier, people are much more germ conscious now than ever. So let them know that your business is safe for them. And because people may not have as much flexible income to spend right now, you can also change your advertising approach to look at the bigger picture and focus on long-term branding rather than just a quick sale. But going off that note, if you do want to pivot towards just a quick sale, use incentives so that you're reflecting the current economic climate.
And Julia, thank you, because advertising during a crisis or recession directly impacts brand awareness and the recovery following a crisis or a recession. Perfect example of this happened back in the 1930s. I'm sure we all are very familiar with 2 really big cereal brands, Post and Kellogg's. Post was the #1 product and service that was available to the consumer in the United States. And what had happened when the Depression hit, Post did what many companies do. They reined back on expenses, they cut back on research and development, and they cut their advertising budget. Well, Kellogg's did the exact opposite. They doubled their budget. They pushed a lot of R&D. They developed a new cereal called Rice Krispies at that time, and they took over market share from Post. And ever since that time frame, Kellogg's is way ahead of Post in that environment. Mike.
Yeah. So thanks, John. We talk about advertising approaches right now. And, after everybody went into lockdown and quarantine, a lot of the messaging you saw was, we're here for you. We're all in this together. It would seem like every ad you saw, right? And it became almost too much. So thank God we're kind of pivoting out of that messaging right now. We're getting more back to normal messaging. On the left here on the screen, you see the Toyota ad, right after we were in lockdown. And then now, today is the day. That's the messaging from the local Toyota dealers. So it's good to feel us coming back to some kind of new sense of normal, but definitely the messaging is becoming more traditional in its creative approach.
So we've touched on how industries and individual consumers have been affected, but what about various media? And it's important to know before we kind of get into this that this isn't a typical recession. This recession is kind of different in the fact that people are mandated to stay at home, which is important to note because people have had a lot more time to surf the web and consume digital content. So TV, ComScore, one of the largest media measuring tools in the country, shows that as people have kind of been forced to stay at home more than usual, they're consuming a lot more TV, both on the local and national levels. And we can certainly attest to this as well at our station. OTT, so OTT trends reflect exactly that of broadcast TV. And PS, for those of you who aren't familiar with OTT, it's basically any streaming service that uses Wi-Fi rather than a cord. So your Amazon Fire TVs, Roku, Apple TV, and so on. And there's been a huge push towards that kind of streaming during quarantine, which is what's reflected in this ComScore graph you see on my slide.
Yeah, and I'd just like to point out, Julia, Fox has the Fox Sports app in San Diego, and we've seen an uptick of about 42% in unique users this season alone. So more and more people, quite a bit more, are streaming content right now.
Yeah. So as for digital web, again, ComScore shows that consumption of digital web content, both via desktop and mobile devices, rose in total visits by 37% over the course of just 2.5 months. And obviously, with more visits to digital websites comes more eyeballs and thus more impressions on advertisements, which we've definitely seen in our digital services as well. In fact, a year-over-year analysis of our website showed that our total number of users is up over 24%, and the session duration of these users is up over 180%, which means that people aren't just visiting digital sites more, but they're also spending more time on these sites. Social media. So, I mean, you certainly can't talk about the digital landscape without including social media. As with the other media we've seen so far, social media has also seen a jump during quarantine. A Harris Poll survey reported that 51% of total respondents reported increased usage on certain social media platforms. And as you can see on the graph on the slide from eMarketer, this year it's expected that US adults will spend 6 more minutes per day on social networks than in 2019. And they're expecting this to likely decline again in 2021 when the pandemic is hopefully over. So email has also increased during the pandemic, which I can definitely relate to personally. I'm always going through my inbox. I truly don't think it's ever been more organized. But also email marketing platform Klaviyo reported that their year-over-year email revenue was up a staggering 86%. And as you can see from the graph, click-through rates were up almost 20%.
Well, Julia, you're absolutely right. Email has been very important. As a matter of fact, what we've seen in our own company with campaigns that we've done is we've had open rates anywhere from 12 to 18% based on that without any loyalty. People that have loyalty programs, even using email, have seen even open rates up to 50%. Right now, according to eMarketer, we are spending over 13 hours and 35 minutes on media on a daily basis. And the whole idea behind what we're trying to share with you today, the bottom line is, if we don't have a good on-screen presence, chances are we're not going to be part of the conversation. So it is very important that we recognize that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the success stories that are out there right now. We've all heard of the first ones that are out there in regard to hand sanitizer. For example, the businesses that have distilleries, they decided that, hey, we can go help out with not only personal protection equipment, but because the environment needs more hand sanitizer, we can create a situation to help people to get that done. But the bottom line is this: you don't have to be an essential business to come up with a home run idea. And even though we don't have time today over this half hour to have individual sessions to brainstorm with you, but we can do that individually after the presentation. We're going to put up a checklist, and we've done a thorough checklist because we want each and every one of you to be able to go through that and see the type of ideas that can come out of that type of a program. Again, the whole idea is that we want to share information with you that's going to help you to be able to be successful, not only here in Q4, but in 2021.
Okay, thanks, John. So talk about, expanding your market, right? Mask companies, they weren't selling to the masses, right? They were selling to the healthcare industry before this breakout, right? And so then all of a sudden you see these commercials on TV about masks, right? So we have a program called The Masked Singer. It's in primetime on Fox, and it's one of our top shows. And they had a promo that came out talking about the importance of keeping your mask on. So we looked at this as a great opportunity to go to one of these mask companies and say, hey, what a great way to really cut through the clutter, piggyback off our content, and expose your brand that way. And they loved the idea, and you can take a look. We have a little video to show you how we did this.
Stop. Don't take your mask off.
Keep your mask on.
Do your part
to stop the spread of COVID-19.
And wear a mask.
Like us.
We'll be back on our game in no time.
Wear your mask. This message is brought to you by Fox and your friends at The Masked Singer.
Sponsored locally by N95Masco.com, the leader for all your mask needs, including the revolutionary RespoCare mask.
Yep.
Pretty creative idea. Go ahead.
Yep. Another way to pivot is to consider new ways to deliver. So we've obviously seen this done by mostly restaurants who have pivoted to delivering primarily through delivery and curbside pickup. But what about non-restaurant type businesses? Well, the example we have here is from an escape room in LA, where typically before quarantine, customers would come in person with some friends or family and do all the puzzles physically and try to escape the room. But obviously with social distancing, that kind of created an obstacle for them. So what they did is they actually taped a GoPro to a helmet and wore it, and they organized Zoom calls with people to experience the escape room virtually. And people loved that idea, and it became such a hit that they're now hiring. And I also want to add in really quick, we're obviously like 6 months into this. We hope you guys get some new ideas from this presentation, but if you have seen some of these ideas or if you've even done them themselves, then go ahead and add them in the chat. We'd love to hear what you guys have been seeing and doing.
Great, thanks, Julia. So this local advertiser of ours, you know, car dealerships, buying a car these days, it's not the same, right? And they were seeing a real challenge getting people into the showrooms. In fact, they were shut down. So they looked at their model and they realized that they've got to pivot. They have to change. And you've seen some of the national brands like Carvana, you know, that go to that online buying model. But this is the first really local ad, I think, that I've seen for a local auto dealer to show you how you can buy a car without ever going into the showroom. We helped them produce this commercial. We're airing it right now, both on our digital platforms and our TV station. So go ahead and take a look.
Click, search, buy. Getting your new vehicle is that easy. Shop in our Express store and search for hundreds of vehicles in stock. Know what you're paying up front. Pay in cash, finance, or lease. Add protection plans. Plus, get instant cash offer for trade-ins. Questions? Your personal concierge will be there during your entire experience with us. Finalize your purchase and choose to pick up or have your car delivered, bringing the experience to you. Express Car Buying by South Bay Volkswagen, just one click away.
So it's been really successful to them. They're also using FaceTime to communicate with customers. And this is going to be their model moving forward.
So another creative pivot you can take as a small business is to partner up with other businesses. So take stock of what businesses you share a customer base with, you know, products, services, or even facilities, and reach out to them. The example you see on the slide here is a restaurant that partnered up with their local grocery store. I'm sure you guys have seen the hot food bars at grocery stores, and, you know, match made in heaven with pre-made food from a local restaurant. And as you can see from the photo here, the setup looks super delicious.
Okay, so this was, you know, again, partnering with us. In fact, Nexstar Media and Fox 5, we have 6 markets that we have TV stations in throughout California. And we looked at, you know, this past summer where people were cooped up in their homes, they didn't get to do their summer vacations. And we thought, let's come up with some ideas for folks that they can get in their car and drive to really cool destinations in California and have some kind of break, right, from the craziness of it all. And so we put together, I think, possibly 30 different segments on different ideas to travel to different places in California. Anyway, we went to an advertiser, Fix Auto Collision Centers, and we said, hey, this is great content for you. People are going to be out on the road in their cars. They loved it. They stopped us right there and they said, we love this idea. We want to be a part of it. You can take a little bit of it. We have a little bit of a clip here. I think we're going to show you on how they partnered with us with this content.
Time now for Destination California, sponsored by Fix Auto Collision.
All right, in tonight's Destination California, we hit the road along Route 66. Wendy Birch shows us ways to have a good time without breaking the bank.
So that goes on to a really cool segment on Route 66. But yeah, it was a really successful campaign. John?
And Mike, that's great because what we really want to do today is stay connected. And even if your customers aren't buying from you right now, you need to stay engaged with them more than ever as things settle down. We're seeing people spend over 4 hours and 10 minutes on television on a daily basis, another 4 hours in mobile, 2 hours on your personal types of computers that are there, and then another hour digital wise. I mean, everything is on screen. So it's important for me to just reiterate the fact, if you don't have a good on-screen presence, you're not going to be part of the conversation. So it's very important that you're in front of them with social, television, video, whatever means that's available to you.
Excuse me. The local example we have here for staying connected is from Panini Kebab Grill, a Mediterranean chain here in Southern California, who had the brilliant idea to start offering work from home dishes. So to get the word out about their genius kebboxes, they partnered up with us and we sent out an email for them to our database. And that's how they stayed connected to their audience. And the last pivot we have for you all today is to invest now in your business's future. So maybe for some of us, business is a little slow. So spend that time preparing for months to come. Figure out where all the bottlenecks in your business are, and spend some time optimizing them, whether that means creating a content calendar, figuring out how to automate some processes, or investing in new technology for your business.
Yeah, and so in this example, everybody's familiar with Jeromes Furniture, right? So their online sales was a fraction of their overall business before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, I mean, their model, come on, is get you into the showrooms, sell you full furniture set. They couldn't get anybody in the showrooms. So they decided to pivot 100% to online sales. They fully developed their app that has augmented reality that helps you visualize furniture in your home. And it's been tremendous for them. So that's where they doubled down and pivoted. And now that's going to be a huge part of the business model moving forward. You want to take a look?
We've all been spending a lot more time at home lately.
So why not make it as comfortable as possible?
You can shop all our furniture online.
With 360-degree views, dimensions, even see it in your room before you buy.
Plus, you can take advantage of Jerome's great financing right online.
Like our 5-year special financing with no money down and no minimum purchase.
And unlike other stores,
our furniture is ready to deliver.
Shop Jeromes.com for everything you need.
And make your home more comfortable today.
And speaking about comfortable, they've just said that people are getting way more comfortable about buying furniture online, which I think people are getting more comfortable buying everything online these days.
Yeah. And they also offered an economic incentive in their video, which is like double good.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, another great way to invest now in your business's future is to create a high quality content calendar. As you can see from the pizza in this photo, everything about this is high quality. For this restaurant, Ambrosio 15, we not only created this Facebook post for them, but we also targeted the post to people in their backyard, so people who will care the most about what they have to say. And you can create a content calendar for months to come.
And we covered a lot of ground over this last 25 minutes that we've been together, but we did take some copious notes for you, and we put together a really nice checklist for each and every one of our attendees. This will help you identify if you need to update some of your resources out there. In addition to that, we can help you do some additional research that's available and how your competitors are doing in the same space with you right now. We have some personal information that's on there that you can review. And in addition to that, we have a take action section that will also help you out. And speaking of take action, Julia and Mike, don't we have some results to share with them on the polls?
Yes, we do. So I'm going to share the results of the first poll, which was what kind of impact, if any, have you seen on your business in the last 6 months? And everyone
who's the prize there?
Yeah, it's negative, which breaks my heart, but I mean, that's why we're here today. We realize that a lot of businesses have negatively been impacted. So, if just one person gets a great idea from this seminar, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so let's look at the second one, media trends. So this one's interesting. So 67% of you said you're streaming more. So that makes a lot of sense. No one is OCD about their email inbox like I was, I guess. Yeah, so interesting. So, okay, we're gonna see if we have any questions in the chat. Let me just get that pulled up. Where are you?
And as Julia pulls that up, we want to thank each and every one of you that spent time with us today. We know nothing's more valuable than your time. You can make a lot of money in your life, but you can't ever get time back. And we want to make this valuable to you. In addition to that, besides having this checklist, we would love to have the opportunity to sit down and meet with you and discuss your plans, because I think it's important to brainstorm. Two heads are better than one, and we'd love to have that opportunity with you as well.
Yep. So we have one question. It pertains to the media trends, if either John or you, Mike, want to answer. So the question is, if all the media has seen a positive increase, which one do you focus on?
Well, Mike, you go ahead and get started, and I'll fill in the blanks.
Well, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it's an omni-channel world, and that means, every screen. And obviously, not everyone has a budget that can carry across all those platforms. But I think being there in that, what they call zero moment of truth is really important. Branding yourself to the right audience, but being there at that right moment on the right platform when somebody is ready to make that consumer decision. And so, there's ways to scale your budgets so that you can be there and capture that business in any given moment. But if you're not there, you're not capturing any business. Right, John? I know you,
absolutely.
what you like to
Again,
say.
if you don't have a good screen presence, you're not part of the conversation. And the real key again here is that we can not only broadcast, or you can broadcast wherever you'd like, but you can also narrowcast. And that's the best part about today, that you can reach the people that you want to reach. Maybe rather than reaching the whole haystack, you may just want to go in for the needles. And that opportunity exists for each and every one of you. The only thing I would say, hey, learn what other businesses have done. Don't stay dark. You're not going to get anywhere. Get your message out to the public. Let us help you craft something. Even if you decided that you didn't want to use us to do that, we want to help you with some plans and some programs to help you get launched in the marketplace. And we want to help you be able to recover and not only do that, but have a very successful 2021.
Yeah, totally. Well said, you guys.
Gosh, we're almost on a half hour, aren't we, Julia?
Yeah, we just have one more question. Do you think we have time, or do you guys want to wrap it?
Sure.
Do it.
Yeah, okay. So the question is, in a mostly digital world, does that mean, brick and mortar is kind of seeing the end of its days, especially as we're seeing more AR, augmented reality, and, buying online and stuff like that? What do you guys think?
Well, again, not necessarily,
I can't wait to go back to the mall, right, John? I mean, Julia, right? You can't wait to go back to the mall and get outside. I think there's going to be a surge. I'm sorry. After, this pandemic leaves us, I think brick and mortars are going to be the new big thing. Trust me.
And, remember what we had up there, and please go back with this recording and take a look at some of those slides. People couldn't wait to go back to the movie theater. People couldn't wait to go back to their restaurants. People couldn't wait to go back and interact and also travel to their family members. All these things they're longing for. So it doesn't necessarily mean that one isn't going to work with another. And some people may find out that brick and mortar isn't right for them. However, all of us want to go someplace. We don't want to be cooped up in our homes the rest of our lives. We're not interested in that. And things are going to continue to open up, and we are going to travel, and we are going to get back to a normal. But this right now, this normal, here's an opportunity for you to get that message out to that client and help get them comfortable for coming in to see you.
Yeah. And I will add that, as you know, there are more automation and technological advances in your brick and mortar stores. I think they're still going to stay there, you know, no matter if you do the new card swiping or Apple Pay or whatever, brick and mortar is here to stay for sure.
By the way, those were great questions, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. We hope this was helpful, and we'll be sending out the checklist afterwards. And, you know, feel free to reach out to us. The email is on the slide there. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.